Hey there, how's it going? Can you hear me all
Hey
right?
Rob. Yep, I can. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Doing well. Yeah, just out here in Seattle enjoying some sunshine. It's not quite summer yet, but it's still pretty good weather, so can't really complain. How's everything in New York?
Yeah, it's good to hear. Oh, it's starting to warm up here. We're getting like in the, I think we had hit 80s yesterday, and I saw people were like taking photos on their roof and stuff. So it's starting to warm up, which is nice. Um, well, I'd like to welcome you to Megashift. Welcome to Megashift. This is I'm joined today here with Ben Loeb, who we went to college together. And at the time, you ran, I think you were the president of the social media club. And this is what, 2011, 2012, 2013. Social media was all the rage. Um, and as an early mover in that space, you've definitely become an expert in other fields such as research. So, with that context, you and I haven't really had a chance to catch up for a while. So tell me a little bit about how you were drawn to social media, and now you're doing research. So walk me through sort of that evolution and how you see the two having parity or the field growing.
Sure. Yeah, so I was drawn to social media like way back when we were in college, 2011, 2012, whatever it was. I think one of the first things that actually turned me on to social media and Twitter in particular was like Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, came to American and he spoke and talked about sort of the power of the platform, the ability to sort of connect one-to-one with consumers, and just how sort of where he thought marketing was going. So I was definitely a big fan of his sort of books early on. I think it was Crush It and then the Thank You Economy. And that got me really interested in sort of social media and as a means for marketing. I studied marketing at AU because I was really interested in consumer behavior and the ability of marketing to sort of bring products to people that they might be interested in, not otherwise know about. Was never really that hardcore into sort of the accounting side or the finance side of things, but was always sort of interested in sort of the more softer side of business with marketing. And I think I landed in research because after school, I started doing an internship, and I'd done several internships while in school focused on social media, which was again sort of focused on consumer behavior, trying to do listening in the social space to understand what consumers want and need. And that ended up leading me over to Microsoft, where I started doing social media and social listening there. And then as my career sort of progressed, moved into sort of more traditional research roles, doing like survey based and more qualitative methodologies.
Awesome. And so now you are the first marketing research hire at Compass. For those who don't quite know about Compass yet, I'm sure they will soon if they're renters or looking to buy a home. But could you tell us a little bit about what Compass is and what
Sure.
you do there?
Yeah, so Compass is a real estate technology company. They're based in New York as well as Seattle, so big presence on sort of both coasts. And yeah, they provide the tools that sort of agents need and sort of bringing technology to sort of the real estate industry. What I was brought in to do was to help sort of build out the marketing research discipline there. They already have a really strong and established user research department and team. But as we start to build and grow and expand, there's an opportunity to do more market research where we're looking at different things like target audience, competitors, things like segmentation, and just sort of building out some of the practices and principles that I learned at Microsoft and bringing those to a newer space.
That's awesome. So would you broadly call this prop tech, or do you think prop tech's more technology that's at a physical property?
Sure. So I would say Compass isn't like an iBuying, like they're not an iBrokerage or anything like that, but they are providing tools and trying to build relationships with consumers. But at the core of our business is really empowering real estate agents. So providing them sort of the best in class tools so they can really do the jobs they need to be that they need to do, and essentially make it the buying process better for or buying and selling process better for consumers by making sure that they have technology to make them more productive and efficient with their time, and making sure that they're empowered to sort of run their business, because like all real estate agents are sort of CEOs of their own business. They do sort of everything like end to end. So the ability to sort of empower these entrepreneurs and small business owners is something that Compass is trying to do.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I know, of course, you started about what, a little over a month ago.
Yep,
So
just after
yeah.
the IPO, yeah.
Oh wow. Well, so I'm not gonna quiz you too much on the talking points. Really interested in your work there. So in looking at markets, I mean, markets. There's a lot of different. There's the housing market. There's the tools and apps and software market in which Compass is competing. So where as market research, what would you say is the first sort of global area you're looking at in terms of market research?
Sure. So in terms of markets and like how we think about it, like the thing about real estate is like real estate is local, right? So every market has its own nuances. There's sort of unique things about each region, whether that's the buying behaviors, what's important to clients, who you're competing with. Even the regulations can vary from market to market in terms of like how listings are prepared and offered, like whether an MLS, a multi-listing service sort of exists or not. So I would say that we're primarily focused on the US right now. I think Compass exists in about 44 different markets. So those are really our focus right now.
Got it. So you're looking at behavior of users and agents in those markets, not necessarily the housing market, even though that's baked into the intel.
Yeah, so one of the things that is offered within the Compass platform is something called Market Insights, where they are actually looking at some of the real estate data within each of the markets and providing trends and things to agents to make sure that they are sort of empowered with the tools they need to understand trends and things going on. So for example, right now, I think across the country, there's sort of a real estate shortage in terms of inventory. So the ability to track and measure things like that and understand the trends can really be empowering for both sellers so they can understand pricing power and buyers to understand like, hey, what's actually happening in their individual market. And by providing those tools to agents, they're able to make their clients smarter as they're going through the process.
And so to what degree is that under your org's purview? Like, are you touching those insights, or are you looking more at competitive market research?
Sure. So that is a standalone product that exists within Compass. So there's a PM, a PMM, and a whole team of engineers sort of dedicated to sort of building out those capabilities. My focus is more aligned on sort of helping to build the business. So the target audiences we go after, understanding sort of the profiles of those customers and agents, as well as I would say building out some of the things related to sort of competitive intelligence, brand tracking, stuff like that.
Cool. So you're very much doing marketing research within the marketing and sales org.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I currently sit within the product and engineering org, but I think some of the focus will be helping to answer some of the marketing questions and things like that, and helping to support and complement the user research team where they need that.
Awesome. So we'll come back to that in a minute, and I'd love to just chat a bit about your time at Microsoft. I think you spent about 7 years there. Is that right?
Yep, about January 2014 or so.
Okay, yeah. So really awesome career. I mean, obviously, Microsoft's doing super well right now. They changed and grew a lot under Nadella's leadership. And that's really exciting, and you were part of that for almost the better part of the decade in which they really grew, and they were always a household name, but great. So I bet it's been a wild ride, and I'd love to spend a little time on that. So tell me a little bit about what you did. I know you worked in a couple of different product lines, but in a nutshell, over the course of your time there, what were some of your main roles and some of the problems you worked on?
Sure. I'd say during the 7 years or so at Microsoft, I had sort of 3 different main roles. There were different things I did within each of sort of those teams, and it might have varied by time or seasonality, things like that. But the first role I had at Microsoft was what I was brought in to do, which was around building sort of a social listening, social media intelligence platform, building off some of the things, my prior experience of some of the stuff I did at AU and had done at other internships and roles. So that was focused on sort of building out the platform, generating insights based off social media listening, and then evangelizing those and socializing those within the company. The second big role I had was focused on campaign research. So getting insights to support our global ads team. So how do we build campaigns? How do we test our creative? How do we measure the campaign's performance in market and optimize those? And then my final role was doing product market research, where we're supporting Microsoft 365 and some of the things related to the consumer subscription business there. Over the 7 years or so at Microsoft, I touched a lot of different products, but those are sort of the three general types of roles and types of research I was doing.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like Outlook, there's a lot of brand loyalty there from the enterprise side. A lot of enterprises just have to use it. But I was at Adobe for a brief time, and we used Microsoft Outlook. And after I left, I was like, I miss the Outlook calendar. I miss the Outlook app, and I used it on iPhone, and of course, it's available across devices. But it's just real. Like it's so interesting how customer sentiment can, NPS can improve, like after somebody uses it and just gets used to it. So I wonder if some of the, anecdotes you saw might back up my that statement.
Yeah, for sure. I think like it's great that Microsoft has become more like cross-platform and sort of promoting some of the things like Outlook, which is a really great experience on Android and on iOS. I think the fact that they're like continue to make like investments in like Office 365 and Microsoft 365 across platforms and building good experiences there is super important versus some of the earlier days where it was Windows first and the experiences in other places weren't as good. So yeah, it's glad to hear that there's another Outlook fan out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, of course, OneDrive, really great product. Like I'm currently in grad school, and we'll use that to store some of the PDFs I need to read. And sometimes I'm on my phone, sometimes on a tablet, it's great. I mean, there's a lot of parity for cloud storage, but OneDrive being integrated in that ecosystem, really great strategy that they've made. However many years ago now at this point, but. So proud Microsoft user, proud Compass user too. I'm in the market for it. So awesome. Well, so so you worked on a lot of different engagements at Microsoft, and I'm sure have incredible stories from that. But what were some of the doing market research, doing that social listening early on? Like, was there anything that you learned on these engagements that you thought was really like counterintuitive to beliefs you held about consumer behavior or the software in general, sort of open-ended, and anything like really shock you or stick with you in terms of findings that you uncovered?
Yeah, I'll talk about two things that I just found sort of surprising over my time there. Pick one from social and then maybe one from sort of the product marketing side. So on the social side, one of the cool things and unique things that we did at Microsoft was the ability to sort of segment our audience. And sort of identify key audiences within the social media landscape. So there's billions of consumers talking every day, and not every one of them is someone you're necessarily listening to or is interested in. There are specific things that might be only for students or teachers or parents or whatever it might be. The ability to really segment social conversation and find some of those voices is something that was super cool and super interesting. Identify like key forums and locations and things where those conversations were happening was something I really enjoyed doing and did sort of early on in sort of the education space. And then worked with other teams as they sort of built out some of those capabilities. On the product side, this one, like I started working on product marketing research a little over a year ago, and was like, obviously the pandemic hit and happened. And as someone who is not a parent, I was just really interesting and powerful to hear the stories of different parents going through the pandemic, how they were adapting to sort of, I would say digital learning, digital work. I was working on the team's consumer product, which recently launched. So like just getting understanding around that and some of the EDU space, like the sheer number of tools that parents are using essentially to get through and educate their kids throughout the pandemic was just sort of something that was surprising and shocking to me as someone who isn't necessarily doing that anymore. When I was in school, I remember using Blackboard, and my parents maybe had access to that. But now there's tons of different tools for messaging, tracking assignments, submitting things, all of that, which is, yeah, it's different. It was sort of insightful to hear about.
Yeah, I think yeah, market fragmentation is just such an interesting trend right now, and there's power users of this, parenting app and this parenting app, and those are really cool insights. Thanks for sharing those. Yeah, also not a parent, but using a lot of different apps, and it's just interesting to see how the dynamics are so different now because there's so many different the things that you need to do for your kid or for your own digital learning, digital meeting. So shout out to Microsoft Teams. Okay, well, so yeah, that brings us to today. So we spent a little time talking a little bit about Compass, and you're in this new role, and so month in, getting your sea legs. Like, what would you say? Coming with that wealth of experience from Microsoft into this role, not a job interview, but so like, what would you say are some of your goals? Like, or what are you sort of tasked with? Taking that product marketing experience, market research, and growing the Compass brand, Compass Intelligence. What lies ahead?
Yeah, I think some of the stuff that I'd like to do is just like building off of some of the experiences and knowledge I gained at Microsoft in terms of like how you build sort of a well-structured organization with good processes that can sort of scale. Compass is growing. They're continuing to hire. There's plenty of openings if people are interested. But in terms of like marketing research specifically, how do we build processes that are repeatable, empower the people within the company to connect with customers, like partnering really closely with user research is really important. But in terms of like market research, I think getting a better grasp on some of the market dynamics, whether that's customer perceptions or understanding competitive positioning, or like just how we show up in market to either our agents or consumers, is something that I think market research and my team will hopefully be able to help support and build.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like surveys are going to be a large driver of that, of gauging that NPS. And so do you anticipate being pretty involved in the survey design? Like what would you say are like the three broad ways that your team or leading this team, how you want to tackle the research without sharing the secret sauce, of course?
Yeah, no, I think survey design is super important. So partnering with user research on sort of how we standardize some of the ways we ask questions, whether that's surveys or their interviews. I really just being a place and a sort of a hub for people to get the voice of the customer. Market research is meant to do that. It's supposed to bring sort of outside opinions in. I think Compass does seem to be really agent focused. So that's an awesome culture to come into, where market research can help with that and support that and empower and improve that is sort of what my goal is and how I want to sort of structure the team. But yeah, I envision a lot of survey design and best practices there, helping us support and build structure around user interviews and customer interviews as we sort of continue to expand and do more of those. I think the thing we can do is build systems and processes, like I said, that can sort of scale and are sort of repeatable versus like going like at a startup phase, like where things might be more ad hoc and focused on speed. Microsoft was really good about having a lot of the structure and the scaffolding in place. So how do we build some of those processes and tools to make sure that everyone is able to sort of run and operate at their best, not necessarily dependent on sort of a lot of manual effort.
Okay, I got it. So are you like researching automation, or are you just like building out like a huge wiki with resources? Like when you say systems and processes, like what would an example of that be for the purposes of a scalable, repeatable research team, research capacity?
Sure. So some of that might be, I think we'd love to get into doing more automation and things like that. I think that's some stuff we're pursuing, working with some of the analytics and data teams internally. But I think just building processes around making things more repeatable. So like we have some ongoing tracking studies and things that are repeated. How can we make sure it's easy to continue to conduct those? How can we do those more efficiently? Are there things we can do to drive increased response rate and get better insights? How do we make sure that the insights we're delivering are sort of impactful and having impact on the business and sort of reaching the right folks? Is something that I think we'll continue to focus on.
Cool. Awesome. And then so in terms of tooling, what is your stack is mostly, I don't know, maybe like a Qualtrics or you don't have to say, but what are you like when you crunch the numbers? Are you using data visualization tools, Power BI? Like what's your sort of do you have autonomy in choosing those tools, or just what's approved by the approved vendors? Or
yeah, so we have a survey platform. We have some visualization and dashboarding solutions. We have like spreadsheeting tools and things like that to do analytics and things like that. So yeah, I think coming in, there's a lot of stuff that was established, but there is an ops team and partnering, working with them to try to figure out like what tools should we have in sort of the tool belt, so to speak, in terms of like, are there certain vendors and partners we should onboard? And slowly figuring some of that stuff out. I'm trying to come in, and I've only been here a little over a month, so I'm trying to listen and learn before I sort of start making proclamations or trying to overhaul or change anything, because I think there's a lot of great things already in place, but to the extent I can and leverage my experience, I will make recommendations and things like that. So I think it's evolving, but obviously a startup in a growing company. So figuring out different ways we can bring on the right tools and partners is something I want to make sure to be able to do and be thoughtful about.
That's awesome. So as you said, you're looking to develop some new insights and sort of learn and listen. And so that all takes time, and maybe we'll check in down the road once you're running the world of research over there. But is there anything I haven't asked you yet that you want to share, either about market research or just your story and sort of your thesis on all of this?
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm really enjoying and learning and experiencing sort of at Compass now is the opportunity to be sort of embedded in a product team is something that's super exciting and something I'm definitely learning a lot about. And Microsoft, it's a huge company, obviously, 100,000 employees or whatever. A centralized market research organization gets to sort of stand on its own, and there's some efficiencies and learnings and things that can be there. But it's starting as sort of a department of one, being sort of sitting next to, so to speak, all virtually right now. But user researchers, PMs, designers, etc. It's just a really good working relationship, ability to collaborate and build some of those principles and things as we sort of grow has been sort of exciting and a little bit different just from what I had been doing before. I definitely felt like a part of the PMM team and definitely got to engage with folks at Microsoft, but I think it's a little bit different when you're sitting embedded in all the meetings, you're getting all the emails and on all the Slack channels, all that types of stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to be in a PMM organization. It's really hot right now. Shout out to the Product Marketing Alliance, actually. Not a sponsor of my show, but I did do the certification. They have a really cool certification in product marketing, and just recently received my certificate. So, it's a growing field, and I'm really excited and happy that you get to be learning in the PMM org over there at Compass. Well, folks, you heard it here first from the first marketing hire at Compass, recently having IPO'd. And he is building out some of these capabilities over there, and we're really excited for him. So thanks for showing up here on Mega Shift, and great to chat.
Yeah, great chatting with you. Thanks, Rob.
For sure. I'm gonna hit the end button, but we'll keep on chatting. Thanks,
Sounds good.
folks.